Hi, I'm Kurt Hagemeister, President of the Michigan Bluebird Society. I'd like to thank you for your interest in bluebirds, America's favorite bird. We have a short video today that takes about 8 minutes, and it goes over all the information you need to know to become a bluebird landlord. So we have a lot to cover, and I know you're busy, so let's get started.
Okay, well, welcome back, and we're going to start our little short presentation now called Bluebird Landlord Basics in 8 minutes. So there's going to be a lot of information packed in here, so feel free to either pause the video or watch it 2 or 3 times so that you can get everything out of it. So let's just get started. First, we're going to talk a little bit about timing. Now's a good time to start putting up a nesting box. Bluebirds start checking out nesting locations in the Michigan and the upper Midwest, usually in February, especially when the days get milder and a little longer. With nest building usually starting in March, and egg laying follows after that, usually in April, but sometimes late March if the weather's mild enough. And bluebirds will often have 2 and sometimes rarely 3 broods of young in a single nesting season, which can last even into August sometimes. Finally, bluebirds are found in southern Michigan year-round. They do migrate out of the northern part of the state during the cold months, but they can be found in southern Lower Peninsula year-round. Here are the 5 elements that you must have to be a successful nest box landlord, or bluebird landlord. First, you need a habitat that bluebirds need. That's the key thing. Second, is a properly designed and built nesting box. Third, a good location to put the box. Fourth, a predator-resistant mounting setup to put your house on. And finally, last but not least, a willingness and ability to monitor your nest box. We're going to talk about each of these individually. First of all, habitat is critical to any bird species or animal species. They have to have enough habitat that will support food to raise their young in the area around their home. And what bluebirds really like are lots of open grassy areas because of the type of insects that they feed on. So they like short grass just in a house right out in the middle of the open. Short perching spots nearby are a big plus, such as small trees, power lines, telephone poles, things like that. And finally, they need about 1 to 1.5 acres of open space in the area surrounding their nesting box. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to have that much property in your yard. It just means that between your yard and surrounding properties, there's about that much area of open space. Here are some good types of bluebird habitats: golf courses, metro parks, pastures, orchards, near farm fields, and open subdivisions. The bottom line here is that if you see or hear bluebirds in your yard quite often, you have an excellent chance of attracting them to a nesting box. Next, we're going to talk about what makes a good nesting box. First of all, good thick wood about 3/4 inch is usually best because it makes the house more solid and gives it more insulation abilities during cold weather. And you can use cedar or pine. Cedar is a better, longer lasting outdoor wood, but it's a lot more expensive than pine, but both work well. Wood screws work best instead of nails because the screws will hold the wood together a lot better over time. And ventilation openings are a very good idea because it does get very, very hot and humid in this climate sometimes. So drilling some holes up near the top of the box helps cool it down. And bluebirds in this area need about a 1.5 inch diameter entrance hole as a minimum to be able to get into the house. You can make it slightly larger, 1 9/16 if you want, but that's what they need. And the house must be openable, which means that either the side or front needs to open up so that you can clean it out and monitor it. You can buy bluebird houses at bird feeding specialty stores or online, or you can actually make them. And on our website there are some plans that you can download to make them yourself. Now, what is a good location for your nest box? Well, again, it needs to be out in the open in short grassy areas, and preferably away from your house or barns, sheds, stables. This will make it more preferable to bluebirds and less preferable to other species of birds in general. And you also want to place it away from dense cover to discourage nuisance birds from nesting in the box. And always mount your box on a standalone pole so that the hole of the box on the entrance hole is about 5 feet off the ground. And finally, do not mount boxes on fences, trees, or sides of buildings, because this makes it really hard to keep predators out of the house. Now we're going to talk about predator-resistant mounting setups. The problem is that in most areas there are cats, squirrels, raccoons, and snakes who will prey upon bluebirds and their eggs and young. So it's really critical as a bluebird landlord that you protect your house from these predators. So here's some good options for you. On the left is a metal stovepipe baffle. It's very successful at keeping climbing predators off the pole. These are available commercially at a lot of bird feeding type of stores, or also you can make them too. There are ways to do that. The one baffle on top is a wider, sort of a cone-shaped baffle that will help a little more deter jumping predators like cats. And finally, greasing or waxing metal poles is messy, but it can really be effective at keeping them from climbing up the pole. Finally, we're going to talk about monitoring your nest box. Now, why is this important, you might be wondering? Well, first of all, it's to learn more about the birds. If you're going to be a successful bluebird landlord, you need to understand at a hands-on level how the nesting cycles go. And by checking the box once or twice a week, you're going to learn a lot about the birds. Also, it's to know if predation is going on. Since you can't be out there watching the box constantly, you really need to know if raccoons or snakes or other predators have gotten to the birds so that you can possibly avoid this in the future. And also, it's important to know if you have more than one box to see which boxes are successful and which ones aren't. The successful ones you can keep where they are, and the less successful ones you can try moving them. Next thing is that sometimes insects invade bluebird houses, especially blowflies and species of wasp. And so by monitoring the box, you're going to know if this is the problem or not, and to solve it and to do something about it, take action on it. Finally, you can by monitoring, you can gather and donate nesting data to groups like the Michigan Bluebird Society or Cornell Nest Watch. And here's possibly one of the biggest reasons to monitor your nesting box, and that's to deal with house sparrow competition. House sparrows are very, very common birds all over North America, and especially here in the Midwest, and they are an alien, non-native species of bird that is highly destructive to bluebirds and other native cavity nesting birds. Sparrows will take over bluebird nesting sites, whether they're natural or man-made, and they'll kill the adults, they'll kill the young, they'll destroy the eggs. And so the key point here is that keeping house sparrows from nesting in your boxes is critical to being successful in helping bluebirds. Now, the way that you can do this is by several strategies. First of all, persistent nest removal is something that can work if you keep doing it often enough. House sparrow nests are big jumbles of sticks, grass, garbage, and other plastic feathers that they fill the box up with. So you just keep removing the nest. Trapping is also an option. As I said, since sparrows are non-native species, they're actually not protected by any state or federal law, so you can trap them as much as you want. Another very successful way of deterring them is just locating the nest box in good locations away from buildings, sheds, like we said, barns, livestock, and just out in the open as much as you can. That's one of the best things that you can do. Finally, there are some anti-sparrow devices available, such as this magic halo shown on this box, that can deter sparrows from going into the box. So I hope that you're going to be considering becoming a bluebird landlord. Actions of people have helped dramatically the cause of the bluebird over the last 30 to 40 years. Their numbers have increased tremendously, but the problems of non-native bird species like sparrows are continuing, and as well as habitat loss. So it's the actions of people make a huge difference to bluebirds. So in order to learn more, I invite you to explore our website, michiganbluebirds.org, and also consider joining the Michigan Bluebird Society to receive our quarterly newsletter, invitation to meetings, and other benefits that can really help you keep up on the latest with bluebirds and how to help them. So I thank you for watching this short presentation, and I hope to see you soon at a Michigan Bluebird Society meeting.